Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the start of a new vlog for this week. It is not necessarily just a weekly reading vlog at all. This is actually kind of a experiment of, can I have this work? Am I able to do this? By the title of the video, you'll see that this is a video that's kind of been going around YouTube for a hot second. Like, it had like a time in the booktube sphere for probably a good couple of months where people were doing this type of vlog for a while, and I wanted to wait until it was kind of like died down a little bit and I felt like I had a good opportunity personally to handle this kind of a vlog, just because I, at the time that those videos were coming out, did not have time to really sit down and get myself oriented to figure out if I could do a swapping my screen time on my phone for my reading time. Now, I'm not going to be including anything that happens this current week for my screen time. I'm going to be trying to rely on last week's screen time average and seeing what goes on. And I will say, though, that last week is not necessarily the best indicator of my screen time, because last week I played a lot of Dreamlight Valley in comparison to how I would normally be using my phone. So it's probably going to be a lot lower than normal, but I still think that this would be a pretty accurate way of looking at how much time I use my phone out of my day. I'm currently on a phone call, though, with my husband. I'm on mute, and the volume is lowered as much as I can. So if you hear him, though, in the background, he's working, whatever. We just like to be on the phone with each other for like a couple hours in the morning sometimes. And let's go ahead and look at my stuff. So if I go to my screen time in my settings, when you look at my average from last week, it says it's about 6 hours of screen time on my phone, which, in all honesty, is more than I expected. But I think that, again, like last week was kind of an odd week because I was playing a lot of Dreamlight Valley last week, but at the same time, a lot of that screen time, apparently from what this chart says, was basically me using like my Audible app, because I was using it a lot over the course of the day. Looks like the most the most used things were my Notes app, because I have a list of stuff for Dreamlight Valley that like I usually keep open as I'm playing, so that's not a surprise. And then TikTok makes sense because I did do a lot of doom scrolling at one point during the week. Or I guess maybe at night a lot I was doing that. Audible I also used quite a bit because I was listening to my audiobook for The Way of Kings last week a lot. And then other things are my Messages app, Facebook, I use a calculator quite often, Instagram, Safari, Pango Books, a couple games, my voice memos for when I do recording, YouTube, email, all kinds of other stuff. But the biggest things obviously last week were my Notes app, TikTok, and Audible were my top three, which, again, not surprised. Those are the top three things that that makes sense, because the Notes app, like I said, I was using a lot for Dreamlight Valley. The goal for this week is to replace about 6 hours worth of screen time that I would use on my phone for 6 hours of reading over the course of this week. I do think that that's possible, especially if I can make it where every night this week I do read at least an hour. I think that it is something that's much more feasible than I had originally thought, but it also is going to come down to the fact that I start therapy this week. Again, for the first time, I have a lot of other stuff going on, starting like really today, and I don't know, I think it's possible, but it also could very well be derailed by any little thing. I do want to be able to get reading done over the course of this week like I normally do, so we're going to kind of see how we can do that. What I'm going to basically be doing is having a stopwatch on my phone going for every time I read, and just like every time I go to sit down and read, I start the stopwatch, and if I can get to 6 hours by the time I have to edit this video, that'll be great. And if not, it's not a huge deal if I can't. It's not like I'm going to have a punishment or of any kind, but I want to see if I can push myself to really get myself to read more often, and for maybe like doing sprints and stuff like that a little bit more often during my week. And I think that if I can make that almost into a bit of a habit, it'll make me feel a little bit better, and not necessarily use it as a way of escaping when like I have bad mental health days, but definitely find myself enjoying having that time to read again, because I feel like there's some days where it does feel like pulling teeth to try to read, and I would really like to be able to make it more of a habit where at the end of every day instead of just playing my game, I also am reading in some capacity. So that's kind of the idea. That's kind of what we're going with. So this is going to basically go over the course of this week, and I'm not going to really be talking about too much what I'm going to be reading. I'm just going to more so talk about how much time I read and how much I read over the course of this week. So don't expect any real like reading reviews of any kind. I might let you guys know what I'm working on, but I don't really want to talk about the books that I'm currently reading, just because of the fact that that's not the real point of this video. It's more of how much time can I get myself to read over the course of this week. And if I end up surpassing that 6 hours, I'm still going to keep the stopwatch going to see how much time I actually read over the course of this week. Like if I end up reading more like 9 to 10 hours this week, that would be amazing. But I do also, again, know that it's going to depend on how this week goes. So we will see how everything works out. I still have content stuff that I am working on every single day, so that could also take away some time, which is not that big of a deal. I think it's going to really come down to just me being able, again, to prioritize finding that time to read, because it's kind of honestly been a bit of a struggle recently. But I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for seeing how this is going to go, and I think it's going to be a fun time. So I will talk to all you guys a little bit later. I'm not going to start right yet because I'm actually finishing up my break from work so that I could start this clip. So when we get started with my next break from work, we will go over the first 20 minutes-ish of reading something. So I'll speak to you guys then. Okay, so it's 11:42. I'm coming up on the end of a quick break that I took from work. I have a little bit of work left that I need to do before my lunch hits, but I currently am up to 31 minutes of reading so far. Already like a good portion of the way to my goal for this week. Again, my goal is 6 hours over the course of this next week. So far today, I have got through about 58 pages, which not too bad, honestly. 57-ish, really, but not too bad so far today. That's just having read on 2 breaks. The book I'm currently reading is, though, a little faster paced, so it's quicker to get through, which is good. But during my lunch, I'm going to try to read a little bit more. I have some things I have to do. I have to take Oscar out on his lunchtime walk. I have to take care of the dishes that are sitting in the sink and the ones that are in the dishwasher. And then I have to take a couple Instagram pictures and probably edit and post one of them, as well as post the link to my video coming out here in about 15-20 minutes on places I need to for Instagram, Discord, like to share with friends and stuff like that. So yeah, that is all I can say for right now. So far going really well. Very proud of the fact that I have already got through half an hour's worth of reading for the week. And I think I can continue this trend the rest of the day. I will be able to read during my breaks, and then I think once I get some stuff done after dinner tonight, I'm gonna try to sit and read the rest of this book that I have, and then I think once I can finish this, I can switch over to an audiobook of another book and maybe play a little bit of Dreamlight Valley before the end of the night and get through at least one quest I need to get through with that. So far, doing super well. Very proud of myself, but I will check back in with you guys in a little while when I have made more progress. Hey guys, so it is day 2 now of the Screen Time for Reading Time challenge I put for myself, and I'm done with my lunch break for now. And basically, I so far in the last couple of days have got myself to about an hour and 50 minutes of reading. I hope you can see that because I can't use the viewfinder on my camera anymore. But yeah, so last night was kind of crummy in terms of my mental health, and so I did try to do a little bit of reading to make myself feel better. I didn't do as much as I wanted because then I got also kind of doom scrolling through TikTok and Facebook and all those things because for one, like I think I got to a point where my head just was hurting so much that it was getting hard to read, especially on my Kindle because the book I'm currently reading is on my Kindle. But I have read a little bit more today. Didn't get a chance to read during my lunch break though because I took Oscar on a walk and then I took a shower and I'm just now really getting to eat when I have to start back up with work. So yeah, but I am thinking that tonight, after I get some stuff done, after having dinner with my husband, I'm going to take some more time to read. And I should be able to finish the book I'm currently working on today and then at least get started with my next one. And I need to play a little catch up because I am behind on my reading schedule for this month already 4 days in because it's been a very weird couple of days, just really busy. And then, like I said, yesterday was really crummy mentally. So I just need a little bit of time to catch up. So I think, though, that right now, things are going pretty well. I have still been using my phone a lot more than I probably should, but I was really going off of last week's screen time, which honestly, considering that I'm now almost a third of the way to that goal, is pretty exciting, and I'm like 2 days into this challenge. So I think I should at least get to maybe, I would say probably close to 3 hours at least tonight. And then I think by the end of the week, I should be able to get to 6 hours before it even hits the weekend. So I mean, and that's just thinking too of like reading during my breaks I take during the day, you know, like that adds up really quickly because in the breaks that I take, not including my lunch break, I probably have like an hour's worth of reading I can do, which is nice. So that kind of adds up really quick. And so I think that I can make that 6 hours before the weekend hits, and then I still can have, you know, even more. But we'll kind of see how this whole week goes. I think once I hit 6 hours, though, I'm going to call it there just because I would much rather just hit that goal and then end the video there as opposed to making this more of a weekly reading vlog kind of thing. So might be only a couple more days, might be, you know, whatever. And if I end up listening to an audiobook, I am going to be counting that as time worth reading because of the fact that I'll be listening to it like as I work and stuff. So that also could get me to that time a lot faster. So I think that that might be what we do because I know that the next book I want to read is available on audio that I can use through Scribd. So I think that that is going to be how I get basically to the end of this challenge, is really getting through that audiobook. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to eat my lunch because I'm starving. And I will check back in with you guys probably tomorrow with an update of where I get to by the end of the day today. Hey guys, so it is now going on 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday, and I have just reached over 5 hours of reading so far for this week. I've been doing really well. Last night I finished a book and then am now about 120 some pages. Let me double check that real quick because honestly, I don't remember. Yes, 121 pages into my other one that I'm currently working on right now. So far I've been doing pretty well. Today I've been trying to read a little bit more during my breaks, usually about a chapter's worth. I'm listening to an audiobook more so than really reading the Kindle, but doing great. But I'm listening to about a chapter during my break. I did not manage to get any read during my lunch, which is fine because I just was really busy trying to get a bunch of other stuff done during my lunch. I think that typically what ends up happening is that I just end up during my lunch walking Oscar, and then if I have to wash my hair, I do that, and or I usually end up taking care of the dishes, and then also doing something like Instagram posting, sharing my link to my videos that go out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, stuff like that. During that time, it's kind of like a little bit of an admin sort of hour, and then also, you know, doing my other like home duties since I'm home, and it's like a more official break that I can take time to do those things. But yeah, so far the day's been going pretty well. I do think that because I am listening currently to an audiobook, I'll be able to crank through the rest of that today. I have less than an hour left of screen time for reading time that I need to do. And I will say I think I've been not really on my phone as much as I think I was last week. That is with on Monday having a bit of a doom scroll day because of the fact that I was not in a good place mentally. So far I think I'm doing actually pretty well. I am pretty impressed that I have been able to spend 5 hours plus just doing reading stuff over the course of this week. I would say that this is probably typically what I end up doing any given week, so this wasn't really too much out of like my comfort zone, which I'm surprised by. But again, I think that I maybe should have like averaged out a month's worth of screen time, maybe as opposed to one particular week like last week. So if you guys would be interested down the line, maybe sometime in the new year or something like that, I would be willing to do another part of this where maybe I have a bit of a bigger challenge where I track the last month of usage on my phone and like it become very natural and organic, and then in the course of a week see how much I can read if I can meet that time in 1 week of basically removing screen time for reading time. I will be getting this book done today by just listening to the audiobook. Yeah, I have like 4 hours and 44 minutes of this. I could crank this out after dinner tonight until I go to bed. And then I do need to get through 2 more books this week and then maybe a third by the end of the week to be caught up on my reading schedule. And I have some ground to make up because these last few days, the first few days of the month, have not been my most favorite, which is kind of awful because October is like my favorite month of the year. But the last couple of weeks, honestly, have been really hard for me mentally. But thankfully, the day that I'm actually recording this clip is my first day back at going into therapy, so I am very excited for that. I'm done yapping for right now. Obviously, I have less than an hour of reading time, technically, for this video, so I'm going to very likely continue that tonight, and I will update you guys later on tonight when I have reached that goal. And again, I think I will be doing a part 2 of this down the line, but you guys let me know whether or not you would be interested in that. Otherwise, I just might not film it, but I might do an experiment of this on my own for my own purposes. But if you would like to see that, let me know. So anyway, I'm going to head out for right now, and I will see all of you guys later. Good morning, everybody. It is now 8:44 on Thursday, and last night I did manage to get to 7.5 hours of reading while I was playing Dreamlight Valley. So I did not end up finishing the book I was working on, but I got, within the last couple hours of that audiobook, which I will be finishing today. But with that, I am going to end this vlog here because of the fact that I had said yesterday that I kind of had just wanted to get to that 6-hour mark and then kind of call it good. I was going to update last night, but by the time I got to the point I was in the book, I was exhausted and I just wanted to go to bed. So I basically just said, screw it, I'll wait till the morning. So yeah, but this was a pretty interesting experiment. Again, I think that this wasn't as much of a challenge as I had thought it was going to be. I think I had thought in my head that it was going to be harder to find 6 hours to work on something, and I think that it definitely did help that I had the audiobooks that I could work with, or at least the audiobook I was working on was definitely a huge help. The majority of the time I had for this was using an ebook, which I did not have the audiobook for. I didn't have access to it. So that definitely took up like the largest chunk of time. Obviously, it takes me a lot longer to get through a physical or an ebook without an audiobook. And the audiobook was really nice to kind of end off all of that time. So I do think if I end up doing another episode of this for any reason, I will be doing it where I take the month total. I wouldn't necessarily say an average, but I would take like from week to week, adding up all of the screen time I would have from like the month prior, we'll say, from whenever I do the episode, and do a challenge in a week based on that, where I try to reach that amount of time that I had on my phone in a month to reading in a week. So I think that that's going to be more of a challenge, which I do think I will do. I think that's something I would love to really try in the new year, especially since I have, things I need to plan going into the new year for content. So I think it's going to be really interesting going forward. It's probably going to be pushed off until February, though, because in January we do our next round of Battle of the Bookish, so I will be doing weekly vlogs in that month. So I think this would be something I push off to maybe February, just because I would make sure that I would have time to be able to do it. So that's kind of the idea. My hope is that I can get some good data in the month of January to be able to do that effectively, but we'll have to see. So thank you all so much for joining me in this video. If you did like it, please let me know, and let me know also if you would be interested in seeing a second part to this where I do the month-long screen time to week-long reading challenge kind of idea. I definitely think that would be something I would do, even if, not really anybody wanted to see it, maybe more so for my own benefit. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to all of you guys in my next video. Bye, everyone.